Putting your own label on a Stocklot garment is one of the most commercially appealing plays in the surplus apparel business. It takes generic wholesale overstock and converts it into a branded product you can sell at a premium margin. But there is a persistent misconception in this industry. Buyers often assume that purchasing a physical Stocklot inherently grants them the right to alter its brand identity. It does not. Physical ownership does not automatically equal intellectual property rights. Operating under that assumption leads buyers to rip out existing labels and replace them with their own. When those original labels belong to a recognizable brand, that action directly invites trademark infringement claims and catastrophic litigation. Successful rebranding is an exacting operational sequence. It is governed strictly by intellectual property law on one side and highly specific unit economics on the other. To execute this process safely and profitably, you need two frameworks in place before you ever make a purchase offer: a rigid legal boundary filter to evaluate the garments, and a strict landed cost margin equation. Stocklot rebranding is a rigid financial and legal system. Attempting it without these frameworks guarantees one of two outcomes: a legal compliance failure or a net margin loss. Before you order a single replacement label, every potential Stocklot must pass through a strict intellectual property triage system. We sort every lot into one of three distinct categories. Category 1 consists of unlabeled or generic manufacturer labeled surplus. These garments carry no retail brand identity. This is the optimal target for rebranding. You are safely applying your own brand identity to an entirely unclaimed product, without misrepresenting the item or crossing into existing IP. These garments originate as factory overproduction or buffer surplus. Made to a production specification, they were never intended to carry a retail brand. Category 2 covers canceled order lots that still carry the original retail buyer's labels and hang tags. The legal boundary here is absolute. If that original buyer is an established brand, removing their labels and replacing them with your own without express permission from the brand owner constitutes trademark infringement. This rule exists to prevent counterfeiting and avoid marketplace confusion. You cannot legally modify a product already designated for retail and claim it as your own creation. Category 3 encompasses garments containing intellectual property woven directly into their actual design. This is a common trap. Even if the neck label is successfully removed, proprietary cuts, distinctive prints, and brand-specific patterns make the fabric itself unrebrandable. Applying your label to a recognizable design is still infringement. Your right to rebrand is dictated entirely by the garment's initial state of IP attachment. A visual inspection of the lot's branding status is a mandatory precursor to any economic calculation. Once a lot clears the legal boundary filter, the next step is destination compliance. Drafting your replacement label is a regulatory act, not a design exercise. This diagram shows the non-negotiable label requirements for importing into the U.S. market. Your new label must include the size, specific material and fiber content percentages, your company name or registered identification number, the country of origin, and appropriate care instructions. Shifting the destination to the UK or the EU introduces different parameters. For example, if you are rebranding children's clothing for these markets, your new labels must strictly incorporate specific flammability labeling, while you swap out the manufacturer's identification for your own company's details. Two pieces of data are immutable legal facts: the exact material composition and the manufacturing origin. Tampering with the manufacturing origin data during the relabeling process is a severe violation. If you rebrand a garment produced in Bangladesh, the new label must still state that it was made in Bangladesh. Modifying this text to imply a different manufacturing source is universally classified as market fraud. A perfectly clean Category 1 Stocklot is useless if the new labels omit required details. Failing to meet exact destination parameters or attempting to disguise origin transforms a legally acquired product into an immediate compliance liability. With the legal and compliance parameters locked, we have to account for the physical and economic friction of the relabeling operation itself. Removing a sewn-in label requires picking the original stitches with extreme precision to avoid damaging the surrounding fabric structure. On a large volume lot, this is highly labor-intensive work. This process also carries secondary physical risks. You must factor in the time to clean thread remnants, and account for the fact that delicate fabrics often retain permanent stitch marks after a label is extracted. Then comes the application phase. Replacement woven labels must be permanently attached to ensure durability and legibility throughout the useful life of the garment. This chart demonstrates the baseline unit economic scenario to calculate the true impact of this labor. Let's start by purchasing a generic, unbranded garment at a base unit price of $2.50. Now we stack the direct physical labor costs, careful removal of the old tag, sewing the new tag securely, and conducting a post-application quality check adds between 25 and 65 cents per unit. Next, we add the direct material and finishing costs, sourcing the woven brand label, printing the care tag, and repackaging the garment in a fresh polybag requires another 40 cents to $1. The cumulative financial impact is significant. The complete relabeling process adds between 65 cents and $1.35 to the final landed cost of a single garment. For our $2.50 base garment, this operational friction inflates the initial unit cost by up to 54%, and that calculation is made entirely before factoring in your business overhead. This establishes an absolute operational threshold. If applying a private label does not generate a retail premium of at least $3 per unit, the optimal financial decision is to sell the lot unbranded for fast volume. Rebranding maximizes profit only when it evolves from a one-off experiment into a standardized sourcing channel. Buyers who do this consistently rely on standardized label sets ordered in bulk and strict compliance checklists for every destination market. This eliminates the lead time delays between wholesale purchase and retail sale. But the most effective negotiation tactic in stocklot sourcing is shifting the labor friction entirely. You want to move the physical relabeling operation away from your high-friction destination market and push it back to the low-friction source factory. As a strict condition of purchase, many source factories will agree to remove their generic tags and apply your labels before the goods leave their facility, often at zero additional cost. Successfully executing this workflow results in containers of export-ready, fully compliant goods arriving at your port, bypassing your domestic labor bottlenecks entirely. The preparation comes down to a strict 4-step checklist. 1. Confirm your lot is a Category 1 IP status. 2. Negotiate label removal with the factory. 3. Pre-source compliant labels. And 4. Calculate a guaranteed margin premium greater than $3. By combining disciplined intellectual property triage with a rigid unit cost model, apparel operators can move beyond the low-margin volatility of generic wholesale. You map the boundaries, calculate the cost stack, and build a coherent, high-margin private label directly from global surplus. Putting your own label